75 years old, but his posture was still military straight. His cane rested against his right leg, hand-carved oak from Firebase Alpha, Vietnam, 1969, where 19 of his brothers died and he somehow didn't. The three thugs laughed as they beat the 75-year-old man with his own cane. "Some soldier you are now," they mocked. They didn't notice the small device in his pocket sending GPS coordinates to 30 Navy SEALs. In exactly 20 minutes, their front door would explode off its hinges. Tuesday afternoon, MacArthur Park, Philadelphia. Robert "Hammer" Hayes sat on his usual bench, the one with the small plaque that nobody else seemed to notice anymore. The shrapnel in his spine reminded him daily of that miracle. 7 pieces, too close to the spinal cord to remove. He'd been feeding the pigeons when he first noticed them. 3 young men moving through the park with that particular walk that said they owned it. The leader, maybe 23, wore a Lakers jersey despite being 3,000 miles from L.A. Gold chains caught the sunlight. Nike Air Force Ones that looked fresh out the box. The second one was shorter, stockier, face tattoos, teardrops under his left eye, savage across his forehead. The third hung back, younger, maybe 19. The follower who'd run first if things went bad. Robert noticed them, noticed him, saw the leader's eyes track to his wrist, the Rolex Submariner, then to his jacket, old but quality, then to his cane, assumed weakness. He'd seen that calculation before. Different continent, different decade, same predator arithmetic. Old plus alone plus valuable equals victim. Robert continued reading his newspaper. The Philadelphia Inquirer, because he still believed in actual paper, in the weight of news in your hands, an article about another VA hospital closing. He shook his head slightly. They were always closing, never opening. "Hey, old man." The shadows fell across his paper before they spoke. "Can I help you, gentlemen?" Robert's voice was calm, the kind that had called in airstrikes under fire. "Nice watch," the leader said. Marcus King, though Robert didn't know his name yet. Robert didn't look up immediately, finished the sentence he was reading, then slowly raised his eyes. The leader stood directly in front of him, the other 2 flanking. Classic intimidation positioning. They'd done this before. "It's not for sale," Robert said, returning to his paper. "Wasn't asking to buy it." Marcus stepped closer. Close enough that Robert could smell the weed and energy drink on his breath. Robert glanced at his wrist. The Rolex had been his first purchase after surviving his first tour. 1969, Saigon. 56 years later, it still kept perfect time. "Son, you want to rethink this." Robert's voice didn't change, but something in it made the nervous one. "Antoine, take a half step back." "Or what?" Deshaun, the one with the face tattoos, laughed. "You gonna hit us with your cane, Grandpa?" "No," Robert said simply, "but you should walk away. Right now, while you can." "Give me the watch, old man. And your wallet. Make this easy." Marcus laughed, but there was something forced about it. Something in the old man's eyes didn't match the aged body. Those eyes had seen things, done things, but Marcus was young, high on his own invincibility, and his boys were watching. It wasn't a threat. It was a statement of fact, like saying the sky is blue or water is wet. Robert set his newspaper down carefully, folding it once, a precise fold, military corners. His right hand moved to his jacket pocket. Not fast, not threatening, just a subtle adjustment. Inside, his thumb found the device, no bigger than a car key fob. 3 buttons. Press once for alert. Brothers would check in. Press twice for emergency. They'd come when they could. Press 3 times for extreme violence in progress. They'd drop everything and come now. The device sent out an encrypted GPS signal instantly. Not to 911. That would take too long, involve too much bureaucracy. This went to a private network, one that connected every Navy SEAL, active and retired, within a 100-mile radius. The message was simple but urgent. He pressed it 3 times. Across Philadelphia, 30 phones lit up simultaneously. Hammer down. MacArthur Park, Philly. 3 hostile subjects. Violence confirmed. Respond immediate. Jake Titan Thompson was in a board meeting, CEO of a security firm that protected government facilities. He looked at his phone, stood up mid-presentation. "Family emergency," he said, already moving. Nobody questioned him. When a man built like Jake moved with that kind of purpose, you got out of the way. And so it went. 30 men, different lives, different places, same response: drop everything, brother down, move. Brian Spike Nelson was under a car at his auto shop. His phone's special ringtone echoed through the garage. He rolled out, grabbed his go-bag from the office, always ready. Mike "Ghost" Rodriguez was at the FBI field office. He looked at his partner. "Cover for me." Badge and gun stayed on the desk. This was family business. Robert stood slowly. His left leg, the bad one, protested. The knee that had been rebuilt twice clicked audibly. He needed the cane to stand, gripping it with his left hand while his right stayed in his pocket. Back in the park, Marcus was getting impatient. "I said give me the fucking watch." "Last chance to walk away," Robert said. He wasn't looking at Marcus now. He was looking past him, at the park, at the trees, at the sky, memorizing the moment. Because he knew what came next. "Not so tough without your stick, are you?" Deshaun tested the weight of the cane, swinging it like a baseball bat. Deshaun snatched the cane. Quick, aggressive. The sudden loss of support made Robert stumble. His bad leg buckled. He caught the bench with his free hand, kept himself from falling completely. "That cane," Robert said quietly, "was carved from wood taken from Firebase Alpha. 19 men died there. Good men. Better men than you'll ever be." "They dead? You're old, and we're here," Marcus said. "Now give me the fucking watch before my boy here tests how strong your skull is." Robert straightened as best he could without the cane. "No." The first blow came fast. Deshaun swung the cane across Robert's shoulders. The impact sent shockwaves down his spine, every piece of shrapnel lighting up like fire. He grunted, but didn't cry out. "Never let them know they're hurting you." "How about now?" Marcus asked. Robert spat blood. It landed on Marcus's fresh Nikes. "Motherfucker." The second hit caught Robert's ribs. He heard the crack. The third swing he blocked with his arms, connecting with his left forearm. "Some soldier you are now," Marcus mocked. He grabbed Robert's right wrist, the one with the watch. Robert's grip was still strong, stronger than Marcus expected. It took both Marcus and Antoine to pry his fingers open, to unclasp the watch. Marcus put it on immediately, admiring how it looked on his wrist. "See? That wasn't so hard." Deshaun went through Robert's pockets, found the wallet, took the cash, minus about $200, looked at the military ID, the VA card, the picture of a young woman in navy dress whites. "Who's this? Your daughter?" Deshaun held up the photo. "Give that back." For the first time, emotion crept into Robert's voice. "Or what?" Deshaun made a show of starting to tear it. Following in Grandpa's footsteps, Marcus laughed. "Hope she's tougher than you." "That's my granddaughter," Robert said. "She's in Afghanistan right now. 3rd deployment. Navy intelligence." Deshaun tore the photo in half, then quarters, let the pieces fall like snow. "What's so funny, old man?" Antoine asked nervously. Something about that smile was wrong. It wasn't the smile of a beaten man. "You'll see," Robert said. "Soon." That's when Robert smiled. Blood on his teeth, face already swelling, ribs broken, but he smiled. Jake arrived first, 6 minutes after the alert, found Robert on the bench, blood dripping between his fingers. They left him there, beaten, bloodied, robbed. Marcus wore the Rolex like a trophy. Deshaun kept the cane, swinging it as they walked. Antoine looked back once, something cold in his stomach. The old man was still smiling. "Hammer, talk to me." Couple ribs, bell rung, nothing fatal. More vehicles arrived. Men emerged, all with the same expression, controlled fury. Brian Spike Nelson took charge. Highest-ranking natural leader. Medical? Bullshit. Doc Ramirez, former Navy corpsman, was already checking vitals. Possible concussion, minimum 2 broken ribs, multiple contusions. You need a hospital. I'm good, Robert insisted. After, Robert said. Mike Rodriguez was already on his phone, FBI resources at his fingertips even off duty. I need park surveillance footage. Last 30 minutes. MacArthur Park, Philadelphia. Yes, now. No, this isn't official. Just send it. After what? After we find them. Addresses? Spike asked. Within minutes, he had faces. Within 5 more, names. Facial recognition was a beautiful thing when you had federal access. Marcus King, 23. Multiple arrests. Assault. Robbery. Deshaun Williams, 25. Just out of county for aggravated assault. Antoine Jefferson, 19. Minor record, mostly accomplice charges. Marcus lives with his grandmother 6 blocks from here. Deshaun has an apartment on the north side. Antoine still lives with his mother. They'll be at Marcus's place, Robert said. Everyone looked at him. Leaders take the prizes home. He'll want to show off the watch. Jake helped Robert to his feet. You're not coming, Hammer. You can barely stand. Try to stop me. I stood for 3 hours with a bullet in my gut, waiting for extraction in 1971. I can stand for this. The convoy moved through Philadelphia streets like a military operation. No sirens, no rush, just deliberate, inevitable progress. Citizens saw them pass and knew something was happening. You didn't see convoys like that outside of military bases. But this was Philadelphia, where you minded your business if you knew what was good for you. They knew that tone. Argument was pointless. Robert was coming. The apartment building was typical Section 8 housing. Brick and desperation. Narrow hallways that smelled of weed and crushed dreams. The elevator had been broken since Obama's first term. They took positions. 2 men on each exit. 4 on the building corners. The rest, 18 of them, would make the entry. No weapons drawn, they didn't need them. Their bodies were weapons, trained and maintained even decades after active service. 3rd floor, apartment 312. Music bleeding through the thin door. Laughter. The sound of video games. Call of Duty. From the sound of it, ironic. Robert stood at the back of the group. Jake had given him a tactical vest, just in case. It hung loose on his frame that had once been 220 pounds of muscle and was now 170 pounds of stubborn. Spike gave the hand signals. Silent countdown. 3, 2, 1. 30 Navy SEALs flooded the apartment like water through a broken dam. Jake kicked the door. Not knocked, not pushed. Kicked. His size 13 boot connected just beside the lock. The door didn't just open, it exploded inward. Frame splintering, security chain snapping like a gunshot. Marcus was on the couch, PlayStation controller in hand, the Rolex gleaming on his wrist. His reaction time was impressive for a civilian. He managed to drop the controller and reach for the gun on the coffee table. His hand made it halfway before 3 SEALs had him face down on the floor, arm twisted behind his back in a control hold that hurt just enough to discourage struggle. Deshaun was in the kitchen, sandwich in hand. He tried to run for the back bedroom, made it exactly 3 steps before Jake clotheslined him. The impact was like running full speed into a steel beam. Deshaun hit the floor gasping, sandwich ingredients scattered across the cracked linoleum. Antoine, true to form, just put his hands up immediately. I didn't want to. They made me. I told them not to. Shut up, Spike said. The quiet command somehow more threatening than a shout. They zip-tied all 3. Not police zip ties. Military grade. The kind that couldn't be broken without tools. Then they dragged them to the center of the living room, on their knees. Execution-style positioning, though no one was dying today. The apartment was small, cramped with 30 men inside, but they moved with practiced efficiency. Clear the bedrooms, check the bathroom, secure any weapons. Within 60 seconds, the apartment was under complete control. Probably. He moved slowly, each step deliberate, despite the pain. The broken ribs made breathing difficult, shallow gasps that he tried to hide. Blood had dried on his face, giving him a mask of violence. But his eyes were clear, focused. That's when Robert walked in. He stopped in front of Marcus first, looked down at him for a long moment. Do you know what this is? Robert pointed to a small pin on his jacket collar. a gold trident with an eagle and anchor. Marcus couldn't speak. The tough guy persona had evaporated the moment his door exploded. Now he was just a scared kid who'd made a terrible mistake. He moved to Deshawn, who was trying to look defiant, but whose eyes kept darting to the door, calculating escape routes that didn't exist. "You beat me with my own cane," Robert said. That cane was carved from wood taken from Firebase Alpha, Vietnam, 1969. We were overrun. 19 men died holding that position so that a field hospital could evacuate. I was the only survivor from my squad. "It's a Navy SEAL pin," Robert continued. "Earned it in 1967. Bud/31. Started with 156 men. 23 of us graduated. Of those 23, only 4 are still alive." Robert picked up the cane from where the SEALs had placed it, ran his fingers along the carved surface. Finally, he stood in front of Antoine, who was crying now, tears and snot running down his face. "Each notch," he said, showing them the small marks along the shaft, "represents a man who didn't come home. Thompson, Garcia, Williams, O'Brien." He continued naming them, all 19, from memory. "I carved this to remember them. You used it to beat an old man for his wallet." "I'm sorry," Antoine sobbed. "I'm so fucking sorry." "You watched," Robert said simply. "You could have stopped them, could have walked away, could have called for help. You watched." "Sorry you got caught," Robert said, then louder to all 3. "Do you want to know who these men are? The ones who came for you? That's Mike Rodriguez. Saved a school full of children from a terrorist attack in Afghanistan. 32 confirmed kills in a single night defending a forward operating base. That's Jake Thompson. 3 Bronze Stars, 2 Purple Hearts. Lost his left leg below the knee in Fallujah. You can't tell because the prosthetic is that good. He could still run a 6-minute mile, and did last month for charity." He gestured to the SEALs around them. "Brian Nelson led a halo jump into hostile territory to rescue a downed pilot. Carried the man 8 miles to extraction with 2 bullets in his back." Robert continued, naming each man, their service, their sacrifices. The litany went on for 10 minutes. By the end, all 3 thugs were crying, the weight of what they'd attacked, what they'd dismissed as just an old man, crushing them. "You didn't just rob me," Robert concluded. "You attacked what we represent. Every scar, every medal, every nightmare we still have. We earned them keeping people like you safe, and this is how you repay it." "What are you going to do to us?" Marcus managed to ask. "First, you're going to return what you stole." Robert looked at Spike, then at Jake, a silent conversation. Then back to Marcus. Robert strapped it back on. "This watch has been in firefights in 3 different countries. It's been covered in blood, mud, and things I won't describe. It kept ticking through all of it. It'll keep ticking long after you're forgotten." Marcus nodded frantically, struggling to unhook the Rolex with his hands zip-tied. Mike cut the ties just enough for him to remove it. Marcus handed it to Robert with shaking hands. "The wallet," Jake said to Deshawn. Robert gathered the pieces carefully. "This can be taped," he said softly. "Your reputation? That's harder to fix." Deshawn nodded toward his pocket. Mike retrieved it, handed it to Robert. The cash was there, so were the torn pieces of the photo. "Now," Spike said, "we're going to educate you." Jake talked about the IED that took his leg and killed his best friend, how he'd held Thompson, different Thompson, no relation, while he died, promised to check on his family, how he still visited Thompson's widow every Christmas, helped put his kids through college.
For the next 6 hours, the 3 of them knelt there while 30 Navy SEALs told their stories. Not bragging, not war stories meant to impress, but real accounts of sacrifice, loss, brotherhood.
Mike described a village in Afghanistan where Taliban had executed all the men, how his team had arrived too late to save them, but stayed to protect the widows and children, even though it wasn't their mission. By hour 3, Marcus had vomited twice. The stories, the reality of what they'd done, physically sickening him. Brian told them about a SEAL who'd thrown himself on a grenade to save his team, how that man's last words were asking if his brothers were okay. Story after story, each one driving home the point. They hadn't just attacked an old man. They'd attacked a repository of history, sacrifice, and honor that they couldn't begin to comprehend. By hour 4, Deshawn had broken completely, sobbing apologies, begging forgiveness. Robert stood before them again, blood cleaned, ribs wrapped. He looked less like a victim now, more like what he was, a warrior who'd chosen restraint. By hour 5, even Antoine, who kept insisting he hadn't wanted to participate, understood his complicity. You have 2 choices, prison or service. What? Marcus asked. Option 1. We call the police. Assault and robbery of a veteran. 10 to 15 years. Federal time. They exchanged glances. Federal prison was different. How is that even legal? Deshawn asked. Option 2. You serve. 2 years. Every day. Veterans Hospital, homeless shelters, you miss 1 day, you go away for the full 15. Me too, Deshawn said. Service, Marcus said immediately. I'll do the service. Mike Rodriguez smiled. I have friends in the DA's office. Veterans, mostly. They understand rehabilitation over incarceration. If you're willing to learn. There's more, Robert said. You tell everyone what you did. Everyone. Your friends, your family, your neighborhood. You own it. You become an example of why you don't attack veterans. Not because we'll hurt you, but because you'll hurt yourself with shame once you understand what we are. Service, Antoine whispered. They nodded. And one more thing, Spike added. We'll be watching. All of us. You think this was impressive? 30 SEALs showing up? There are thousands of us. We're everywhere. Teachers, cops, doctors, lawyers, garbage men, CEOs. We're a network, and now you're in our system. Step out of line, we'll know. As they sat in the station, Marcus looked at Robert. Why didn't you fight back? In the park? They drove the 3 to the police station. Let them turn themselves in. Mike had already called ahead. The paperwork was waiting. Assault charges with a plea deal for community service under veteran supervision. I could have killed you 3 in the park. Even at 75, even with bad legs, I could have. The training never leaves. But I would have had to live with 3 more faces. You would have been dead, and I would have been a killer again instead of a teacher. He paused, adjusting the ice pack Doc had given him for his ribs. Robert was quiet for a moment. I've killed 73 men in combat. Confirmed kills. The unconfirmed number is higher. I dream about their faces. Every single night. I know I fought for the right reasons, but that doesn't make the dreams go away. So you let us beat you? 6 months later, Robert was back on his bench in MacArthur Park. Same time, same pigeons. His ribs had healed, though they still ached when it rained. The scar above his eye had added to his collection. Badge of honor, Doc called it. I let you think you were beating me. There's a difference. I knew my brothers would come. I knew you'd be found. I knew justice would happen. Real justice, not just violence. You're alive, and you have a chance to be better. That's worth a few broken ribs. A shadow fell across his newspaper. His hand instinctively moved toward his pocket, toward the device. He looked up. Marcus stood there, not the Marcus from 6 months ago. This one wore khakis and a polo shirt with a VA volunteer badge. He'd lost the gold chains, the attitude. His eyes were different, humbler. Mr. Hayes? Mind if I sit? Robert gestured to the bench. Marcus sat down, pulled out an envelope. I wanted to show you something. Inside were photos, certificates, letters. Marcus at the VA, helping wheelchair-bound veterans with their physical therapy. Marcus serving Thanksgiving dinner at a homeless shelter. Marcus speaking at a high school about choices and consequences. A letter of commendation from the VA director for exceptional volunteer service. Change you, Robert finished. 200 hours a month, Marcus said. I do more than required. Can't help it. These guys, their stories. Yeah, Deshawn's doing good too. Got a job through the VA program. He's working maintenance at the hospital, but he spends his lunch breaks in the psych ward, talking to guys with PTSD. Turns out he's good at it. Calming, you know. Enlisted. Navy. Wants to try for SEALs eventually. And Antoine? Robert raised an eyebrow. He might make it, Robert said. Fear can be trained out. Heart can't be trained in. He's got heart. I know, right? Kid who was scared of everything wants to be a SEAL. But he said meeting your guys, hearing the stories, he understood something. He said, I want to be the kind of man who deserves to stand next to them. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, watching the pigeons. Shoot. Mr. Hayes, can I ask you something? Robert pulled out the small black fob. 3 buttons. Simple, effective. Always. Not because I'm afraid, because they insist. It's not about me, it's about them. They need to know they can still protect each other, still matter. Giving them the chance to help me helps them as much as me. The device, the one that called them. Do you always carry it? That's brotherhood. Marcus stood to leave, then turned back. Mr. Hayes, thank you. That's deep. For what? For not killing us. For giving us a chance to be better. Everyone deserves a second chance, even idiots who rob old men in parks. Marcus laughed. We were idiots. Still are, probably. Just less dangerous idiots now. Another from Spike. Antoine passed his swim qual. Kid might actually make it to Bud / After Marcus left, Robert's phone buzzed. Text from Jake. Saw your boy at the VA. He's turned into a real advocate for veteran services. Another from Mike. Deshaun just helped talk a vet out of suicide. Sat with him for 3 hours. Kid's got a gift. Robert smiled, feeding the pigeons. His watch caught the sunlight, still keeping perfect time. The cane rested against his leg, 19 notches catching shadows. 3 thugs had attacked him for money, but they'd gotten something more valuable. They'd gotten education, purpose, redemption. They'd gotten a chance to understand what service meant. And somewhere in Philadelphia, 30 Navy SEALs went about their daily lives. But their phones stayed charged. The network stayed active, ready for the next brother in need.